Well, good morning. I'm going to tweak some settings on my EJK controller. Just can't stop playing around. I initially just had my mod here, which is a 2-inch inside diameter opening for the airbox rather than the small stock one. And lately I noticed that the air filter it didn't take much to much clogging up to affect performance. So I thought, well, maybe that's an indication it's processing more air out than in, and it can use more air in. So I drilled a couple 3/4 inch holes here, and just to see what difference it made. Well, oddly enough, I thought maybe the bike ran a bit richer, which kind of would be contrary to common sense. But then again, we have colder weather right now, and the bike, I believe, has an ambient temperature sensor, which when it gets colder, the air has more oxygen, and then the bike correspondingly gives it more fuel, but maybe more than it needs. So I don't know, that might have some bearing on it, but I thought, well, in the interest of science, we'll play with it a bit. To me, it's part of the joy in owning the bike, and owning any bike. You know, you get pleasure out of riding it, but you also get pleasure out of understanding it more deeply by tweaking it, modifying this and that. So we'll try those settings, and those are leaner, and then we'll go up from there if we need to. Sound like a plan? I may have had it set a little rich since I modified the exhaust, kind of overestimating the difference that made. And the rich setting that I had it on, which I'm thinking now was a little much, was actually performing really well, but I think I was wasting fuel. And now that the temperatures outside have dropped, I think that not only am I wasting fuel, but I was suddenly getting into a too rich setting. Yeah, I'd say we've got the settings nailed. First time. Good job. I have good response at the low end and good pull at the upper end as well. I was easily getting it over 120 there, and it was still climbing. For those that are interested in what settings I put it at for this bike, the CRF250L, I don't know whether it's would be meaningful to you, because I have modded the exhaust, which changes the picture a little. But with an opened up air filter or air cleaner, and the exhaust, which is made just to be a little bit freer, I'm using a cruise setting of 1.5. I'm using an acceleration setting, that's the yellow phase, of 2. And I'm using a full throttle setting of 4. Like I said before, just can't stop playing with things. And why should I? Like I say, it's part of the joy of owning a motorcycle is tweaking it, understanding it a little bit more as you go, making your own decisions, coming to your own conclusions instead of following what the common theories are. Sort of put them to your own test and see if it holds water. I think I'll just make one more change. I had altered the engagement point of the, do I want this on? Yes, I do. Whoops, put it in neutral if I do, eh? I had altered the engagement point where the yellow acceleration phase kicks in. I advanced it forward a little bit so that it kicks in sooner. And what I think is maybe it's richening it up a little too quickly on too little of extra throttle. So we'll see. I'll put it back to the default engagement point. I gotta hit this thing just right in order to not skip a step. There we go. Yep, better. Don't know whether you noticed, but the very first part of the, you know, when you snap the throttle just a little, just that very first part had a little dullness to it, where I think it was engaging into the richer setting a little bit too quick before it needed it or could use it. And now it's snappier, so it's what we want. I think I might be right about the fact that the bike has an ambient temperature sensor, and so it's knowing what the air temperature is around the bike, the kind of air it's pulling in, and it's sending a signal back to the fuel injection system and its computer based on the stock bike's programming. And so the stock bike being very lean, when the temperatures get cold, you don't want an overly lean condition, so that temperature sensor would probably engage a fair jump in the fuel settings on the bike. But since I have the fuel controller riding on top of that, altering the computer settings by a set amount that I'm setting on the fuel controller, then when the temperature sensor alters the fuel settings, the EJK controller doesn't know anything about that, and it still adds the same on top of it. So I think that's why it was otherwise unexplainable why I would suddenly be a little bit too rich after opening up the airbox, because right at that time, that's when the temperature outside dropped. So, to me that makes a lot of sense. Well, now that we've solved the world's problems, Clyde's world that is, Clyde being the bike, we'll sign off now. So you enjoy your day, you ride safe and have a lot of fun.